So here I am, guys, at the end of the driveway and just got this dropped off. This is the WoodMax 8H, I think is what it's called. Hydraulic feed, hydraulic motors. This is my new wood chipper. I've been waiting 2 months on it. It has 0 hours on it. Guys, I already started a film about wood chippers on here. And let me start rolling that while I bring this up the driveway. Alright guys, I wasn't going to make a video on this thing. It's a wood chipper. It says it's a ProMark bush chipper. And this thing is just freaking awesome. And the reason I wasn't going to make a video is because I'm on time restraint, you know. The tires were flat when I went to get it. Completely flat and ruined. Well, they're not ruined. I aired them up, I greased the bearings, guys, and I drove it over an hour home. And it made it. Anyways, this thing is just too cool not to make a video about. It hasn't run for years. Let me walk around here and I'll show you what I've done so far. Alright, so all I've done so far is, get the syrup gas out of it. And I'm going to try and just put fresh, clean gas in it. It's got electric start. We'll hook a battery to it and just see if it starts, guys. I'm not going to show you how to clean a carburetor and all that. There's a million videos on that kind of stuff. I just wanted to show you. I'll just update you along as with my progress as I achieve goals here on getting this thing running. And unfortunately, guys, that's all I filmed on that chipper. But I can tell you what happened. I ended up putting a new fuel line on it. I drained the old gas out like I told you, filled it up with fresh new gas, put some jumper cables on the battery, and I was able to just jump the solenoid, and that thing, it just started right up, and it ran really good. I adjusted the carburetor just a little bit, and it ran great. So then I took a limb, it was about 2.5-inch poplar limb off of a poplar tree, and ran it down through there. What's nice about this chipper is it's really fast. For smaller stuff like that, 2.5 inches or so, it's rated for 4 inches, but for like a 2.5-inch branch, it's perfect. You can just run it through as fast as you can push it through. It chips it up, guys. If you look inside over there on the flywheel, the blade has got a good distance away from the flywheel, you know. That's why it chips so fast. It'll make big chips and fast, just run down through it. This was a manual feed, so you had to manually put it in there. Bigger stuff, this would not be a good chipper. You'd want something with a hydraulic feed, or even a manual belt feed would be better than this. And the way they're set up is they'll make smaller chips and they'll chip slower. It'll feed it in there slower, but you can do bigger stuff. So this one's mainly made for just smaller brush, but it worked great. It was nice. It was on a trailer. I bought it cheap, which I resold it. I just wanted to try it. Let me show you another one that I had purchased that I used on a 3-point hitch on a tractor, and I'll tell you about that one. All I've got is pictures of that one, guys. Let me show you these couple pictures and I'll explain about them. This is a Befco wood chipper, and this one I had purchased before the last one you just saw. As I said, this is a Befco wood chipper, and if you look them up, they're like $8,500 for these things. You can find them lower than that. I mean, it doesn't matter. Even at half that price, they're certainly not worth it, guys. This chipper is 3-point hitch mounted, and a manual feed. This particular one, they make different ones, but this particular one was a manual feed. So it had a belt that would drive a drum on the top of it and pull the limbs in. And the bottom, it didn't have any roller on the bottom. So this chipper was okay, but it seemed very slow to me. And you would put stuff in, and you could put big things in there. It says it's rated up to 6 inches. It could chip up to 6 inches. I didn't try that, but I probably did put 4-inch stuff in there, maybe even 5. And it's very slow. The feed's very slow on it. That's not really a big issue with me. The problem was with this chipper is you kept having to push it in. Even though it had the feed, you keep having to push it in. And small limbs, if you had a small limb in the shape of a Y like that, or something like that, or a limb just wasn't exactly right, you would have to push and fight with that limb to get it to go into that feed into that small opening. I think it was 6 by 8 or 8 by 8. I can't remember. But it just would not take the branches in. You're constantly having to fight with it. So for the cost of that machine, if you were to purchase it new, would be ridiculous. Of course, I purchased this one used, and I've resold it also. But it was a good chipper if you could find one under $1,500, in my opinion. I don't know what area you're in; that may vary, but what I'm saying is I wouldn't get carried away with thinking that this is a wonderful chipper, because it's not. Also, the first one I showed you had a little Briggs & Stratton 16 horsepower engine on it. Remember, when you're using a chipper on your tractor, you're putting hours on your tractor. So the one with a PTO, the Befco, in my opinion, did not produce enough to to make up for the fuel and the hours added up on my tractor. You know what I'm saying? So I'm here chipping, and it's chipping real slow, and my tractor's running wide open, and it's putting hours on it and wearing it out. And to me, in my opinion, it wasn't worth it. So I'll show you another one, guys, that I made a video on, and I was really impressed with this little chipper. Let me show that one to you, and I can show you me using it. Like I said, I've made a previous video on it, and we'll talk about that one. So this is what got me started on the wood chipper kick. I had borrowed this wood chipper right here from a neighbor of mine, a good neighbor and good friend. He let me borrow it because my sister had a tree that fell down. It was a Bradford pear tree, and I needed to clean it up for her. You can see I'm running it off of a subcompact tractor, so you're not burning a bunch of fuel up. You know what I mean? It's worth the little bit of wear on your tractor is worth it for the amount of work that this little chipper would do. This is a manual feed chipper, guys. It doesn't have any way of pulling it in, but I did notice that as you put the branches in, it would still draw them in up to some point, you know. You can see here that kind of got stuck, but see, that's a good size limb. There's some more. This chipper, although it doesn't have a hydraulic feed or a manual feed, still was a good chipper. For the money, I looked these things up. They weren't that high. I can't remember. Maybe I think less than $2,000. And I think they're well worth the money. They just do a lot of work for the size they are. This was one issue I had with it, guys. It did get stopped up, but it could have been my own fault. I can't remember now, but I may have idled the tractor down too low, and it stopped the chute up. And like I say, it's a good possibility that that was my fault. And it was easy enough to clean, just one bolt, tip it up. I fired it back up, blew everything out, and it did good. I was really impressed with this little chipper for the money and for the work that it did. I thought this was a good one, to be honest with you. One other thing I forgot to mention, it has a shear pin on it, and it did break the shear pin, I think, one time through this whole process. So not real bad, but it does have a shear pin on it. Break time, fellers. Alright guys, so my experience with these past wood chippers is what led me to this WoodMax. I think it's a 8H, so it's a hydraulic feed. It's got an 8 by 8 inch opening. I think it does 6-inch, material through it. What I liked about this one, guys, it's got two hydraulic pumps on it, motors. One on the top, one on the bottom. The top one, it has a roller and it's turning, and the bottom one I think has like a slick roller and it turns also. So it should feed the material in. And like I said, that was a concern with the Befco. And also that little blue one. Although, like, again, the little blue one was great. This one should be a step up. I hope I didn't make a mistake on buying this thing, guys, because I did buy it new. And, of course, you know, I'll lose money if I have to sell it. This one is PTO driven. So it needs to produce something if it's going to be hooked to my big tractor, you know, as we discussed before. Why am I even buying a chipper? Some of you may be asking, but you know, it's because I'm clearing out some woods, and you know, if the branches are green, it just takes forever to burn them. If the weather's dry, you know, you don't want to burn your brush when it's real dry. And if you don't, then you get piles of brush just laying around all the time everywhere, just waiting to burn, you know, waiting to have a big bonfire with beers and marshmallows, you know. I get sick of waiting on that. Also, these chippers make really nice mulch, you know, for my garden, or just, I don't know, wherever you want to put it, fill in a hole in the yard, whatever. So I'm going to assemble this thing, guys, and give you my first opinions on it. That'll be in a later video. Then I'm going to use it for a while, like, you know, all season, like all fall and winter. And then I'll do another review just telling you the reality of this wood chipper, because when you buy something brand new, your first impression, you've spent all this money and it's all new and shiny, and usually your first impression is, man, this is great, it's wonderful, you know, and you don't start finding the flaws till you've used it a while. So that'll be the next video, guys. If you like this video, subscribe to my channel for updates on these chippers. Like the videos, that always helps my channel to grow, guys, and I appreciate it. We'll see you next time.